What's up, guys? Welcome to Primetime Poulton. I'm your host, comic book writer Mark Poulton. Joining me today, my best friend Sean Ahrendt, but this isn't the best friend show. Oh no. Brand new show coming to Primetime Poulton. I'm really excited about this one. Dudecast, a Michael Dudikoff podcast. Sean and I are going to talk about this legendary 80s icons action films. Sean, are you excited as I am?
I'm fucking ecstatic. I think we just got the cure for diabetes.
Yeah, people on Twitter seem to be excited about this. I sent out a little teaser yesterday. I don't know, there seems to be a lot of 80s action fans out there.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, and I feel like Michael Dudikoff's sort of like the unsung 80s action hero. Why isn't he in the Expendables, man?
I think he needs a better agent.
Yeah, it's a head scratcher. Like, everyone from the 80s is in those films. Stallone, Schwarzenegger, Willis, Chuck Norris, Dolph Lundgren. This is what we have to do. We have to petition to get Dudikoff in these films.
I will spread that rumor.
So what we're going to do every week, we're going to discuss one of Michael's films. We're starting off with American Ninja. This is when I first took notice to him. And then later on, I realized that he was in Bachelor Party, and I never put the two and two together. So I guess I actually first came across Michael Dudikoff in Bachelor Party, but didn't realize who he was until American Ninja. When did you first discover Dudikoff?
You know, it could have been Bachelor Party, but I was very young at that time, so anybody could have been anybody to me. But it was definitely American Ninja where I was astonished by this glorious man.
Yeah. So I've done my due diligence. I've done a little research. Did you know originally American Ninja was advertised as a Chuck Norris movie?
I did not.
Yeah. Cannon Films sent out did some print ads featuring Chuck Norris as the American Ninja. And then Cannon Films is a fascinating company. There's been a couple documentaries about them, and they would just I guess advertise movies before there was anything. It was just an idea. So they started drumming up business for it. But apparently when Chuck Norris realized that he would have to wear a ninja mask and cover up his face, he didn't want to be the American Ninja anymore. He wanted to, if he was going to be in the movie, he wanted people to see him. So a casting call went out, and Cannon Films, they were looking for a James Dean type action hero. And
okay, yeah, definitely.
So
if anybody could have played James Dean at that time, I could see the dude.
Yeah, they got the casting right with him, but some of the people that were up for it, Chad McQueen, who was Steve McQueen's son.
Okay.
He also played Dutch in Karate Kid.
Oh,
yeah. The bleach blonde one. Yep. And also Kurt McKinney, who starred in No Retreat, No Surrender. It's Van Damme's one of his earliest films where he plays a Russian bad guy. But Kurt McKinney was probably a little too young looking for the role. So Michael Dudikoff ended up getting it. Perfect cast. He really plays that James Dean action hero. I feel like he's this reluctant hero. He doesn't really want to be a hero, but he sees a girl in trouble. He has to step in and stop the bad guys.
I don't blame him. That's what you gotta do. He believes in chivalry.
So the movie came out in 1985. 1985 is one of my favorite years. One of my favorite teams, Kansas City Royals, won the World Series that year. My favorite baseball player, George Brett, played for him. So 85 is a good year. The director is Steve Furstenberg, who he's directed a bunch of films. Breaking 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Nice.
Yeah.
That doesn't get enough credit.
No. Enter the Ninja 3 Domination, which you and I watched.
Yeah.
So like Cannon Films was riding this big ninja wave, and they wanted to keep it going. So they were like, let's do another one, but let's make the ninja American. And that's how the idea for American Ninja came about. And the director, Steve, he would go on to work with Michael Dudikoff again in American Ninja 2, another movie, Quicksand. And he tried to, I guess he almost tried to like reboot American Ninja in the 90s with a film called American Samurai. I've never even heard of this movie, but it starred David Bradley, who was like a straight-to-video action hero in the 90s. And I think he ends up taking over the American Ninja role in part 3. So, yeah. But anyway, we'll dive into the movie. Michael Dudikoff plays Joe Armstrong. Now, one of the reasons I've made this known, American Ninja is like a huge inspiration for my comic book, USAssassin, which you worked on. And
I had a hand on it.
And
thankfully so.
So I named the main character Joe Knight as a homage to Joe Armstrong, and even the name USAssassin, it's basically a synonym for American Ninja.
Right.
Yes, yeah. The whole take on USAssassin was like a Dark Knight version of American Ninja. What would a retired Joe Armstrong be up to these days? But I said it in a superhero world, which isn't really too far-fetched from eventually we'll talk about American Ninja 2, where we see the super ninjas. So, you know, that kind of takes place in a superhero world too. Now, joining Michael Dudikoff in the movie, Steve James, who plays Curtis Jackson. He's awesome.
Round of applause.
Yeah.
Round of applause.
He was Kung Fu Joe in I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker.
Yes.
And he was a legit martial artist. From what I've read, that sort of caused some friction between Dudikoff and Steve James. Michael Dudikoff didn't know martial arts before this film. He was cast he was cast because he was athletic, and they felt like they could teach him. So from what I read, I think he was a little intimidated by Steve James at first, but by the sequel, they had become good friends. So that's good. They have good chemistry. They make a good like buddy duo.
Yeah, salt and pepper.
Yeah, and the love interest in the movie. I don't know if you recognize her, but she was in Weird Science.
Yeah.
Yeah, she plays Wyatt's girlfriend in Weird Science, and she was also in a Friday the 13th movie. I can't remember which one, but I know I recognize her from Friday the 13th. Now, the movie, so it starts off where like a group of ninjas hijack a U.S. convoy carrying military supplies, and a colonel's daughter is also part of this convoy. And all the soldiers, they're just sort of following their higher-ups' orders to not resist, but the colonel's daughter gets paranoid, and she tries to make an escape. And that's when our hero, Joe Armstrong, steps in. Fearing that, she's going to be hurt or killed, he steps in, saves her life. And in the process, a couple U.S. soldiers get killed. So this starts...
They deserved it. No. Those guys are supposed to be fucking heroes. And you know what? They didn't step up to do the job. So
yeah.
I'm glad they died, because that's not what the military's about. Well,
they were following their superiors' orders, and later we'll realize why their superiors were so easy to give up and say, "Oh, take our supplies."
Twist.
Yeah. So Joe and Patricia, they make their escape through the jungle. Here's another interesting fact I found out, that Dudikoff had malaria while he was filming this.
Really?
Yeah. It was one of the facts on IMDb. I don't know how truthful it is, but Man, that's pretty hardcore.
That's inspiring.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, he rescues the girl. He returns her back to the military base, and when he gets back there, he's in like a whole heap of trouble. They're talking about court-martialing him. All the other guys in his platoon are like pissed at him because a couple of their brothers have died, and they all sort of egg on like the platoon's badass, Curtis Jackson, to set Joe straight. And this is one of my favorite scenes. Curtis is just like trying to get him to fight him, calling him hero and karate boy and stuff like that.
Which are nothing but compliments in my eyes. So
yeah.
I wouldn't want to fight him if I got called hero or karate boy. It sounds really nice. Like I would give him a high five.
So Joe doesn't want to fight him, but every time Curtis comes for him, he just like tosses him over his shoulder. And this is like the best part. Like every time Curtis gets knocked down, he's just like brushes himself off and was like, okay, we got this. And he's like, I don't know, trying to hype himself up. And like the other guys are cheering him on. They give him like a broomstick or something to beat Joe. And Joe just puts a bucket on his head and tells Curtis to hit him. But they end up getting stopped by their sergeant, and by then Curtis realizes that Joe's an okay guy, and he even tells everyone, "Hey, Joe's all right." And everyone's like, "Yeah, I guess he is."
Yeah, he's a good guy, Joe.
And soon enough, one of the guys in the platoon runs into the colonel's daughter, and she wants him to deliver a note to Joe, and they trick Joe into leaving the base, saying it's a note for this guy's girlfriend, and he volunteers to go take the note, even though he's already in a mess of trouble and he's going to get into more trouble. And they're like, how are you gonna escape the base with no one noticing? So he takes Curtis's motorcycle, and conveniently there's a ramp like right by the wall. And he hops it. I don't know if you paid attention to like when the stuntman landed the cycle, but his face went right into the windshield.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
So he meets up and realizes it's Patricia who the note's going to, and she wants to thank.
Smoking hot, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Like she is fucking. Let's talk about her for a minute.
Yeah, please do. Go for it.
She is just a beautiful woman. She is probably like definitely one of the top 5 of my young adolescent, young childness beauties that caught my eye.
Yeah.
Just her smile, the shape of the curves. Like I hate it when she leaves, but I love to watch the way she walks. You know.
Yeah.
And, I would get in trouble for that. I would definitely get a court-martial just for a kiss on the cheek.
Yeah. No, I was a big fan of her in Weird Science, and I don't know if you've seen her today, but I have the American Ninja box set, and it comes with extra features, and there's a documentary. She's beautiful. She's more beautiful now. 30 some, yeah, 30 some years later, yeah. Smoking hot.
Yeah, that's like Boone's Farm wine. You get better with age.
So she wants to repay him for saving her life. So she takes him out to dinner, and while they're out to dinner, his sergeant is there, and he's meeting like with a big time businessman. So Joe thinks he's in a ton of trouble, but Patricia tells him, relax. The sergeant's a pussycat, but he ends up getting in trouble anyway. They set him up to. I think they send him to get more supplies, and it's a trap. There's ninjas there, and he has to fight his way out, and he ends up getting arrested when he returns to the base. Now, while he's on base, I think this is like when you first realize that his sergeant's dirty. His sergeant is working with the businessman Ortega to steal the military supplies for the super ninja terrorist group. And so while Joe's in prison, they send the Black Star Ninja, who's the leader of the ninjas. He's a real badass, has a star tattoo on his cheek, and he breaks into the military jail, tries to kill Joe. Joe ends up escaping the jail, and all hell breaks loose on the base. Soldiers are getting killed by the Black Star Ninja, and Joe's on the run, so he goes to his buddy Curtis Jackson for help. And Curtis is like, we need to go to the colonel. Patricia will vouch for you that you're a good guy. And he's like, no, just get me a Jeep, and I'll meet you at the motor pool. Well, they meet up later. Curtis has the Jeep, but he also has Patricia with him. He told her all the trouble Joe's in, and Joe agrees to go to the colonel's house and talk to him. And it seems like the colonel's believing him, but then some soldiers show up, and it's big double cross. The colonel's actually in on the whole thing with the sergeant. He's dirty. Joe escapes through the window, dives through. He's on the run. The soldiers are after him. The evil sergeant's after him too. When they're all running out, one soldier has his gun, and Curtis just kicks the gun out of his hand, and the soldier looks at him, and Curtis is just like shrugs and is like, "Come on, man." It's just, Curtis is attacking soldiers, but he doesn't get in trouble. But they're telling Patricia, you can't trust this guy. He's been to prison. His whole past is clouded. He was found.
Everybody does a little jail time. It's
okay. So Joe was found on the island when he was a young boy, and he was in and out of foster homes, juvie hall, prison. He doesn't know anything about his past. And eventually we'll find out when he's on the run. He heads to the base where the ninja army is. He's being chased by the soldiers, the sergeant. The sergeant's trying to run him off the road. Sergeant ends up crashing his car and blowing up. So he's out of the picture. And Joe gets to the base where all the evil ninjas are, and he gets like grabbed by, I guess he's like the gardener there, but it turns out that he's Joe's mentor. He's the one who raised Joe as a child and taught him the martial arts, and taught him the the way of life. One thing I found funny about this was like when they're talking about when his mentor's kind of giving him his final training. He tells him to follow the Bushido, but that's not for ninjas. That's for samurais. So yeah, his mentor's kind of crossing symbols, but crossing kind of different genres.
Maybe he's got dementia. Yeah,
but one thing I wanted to mention, going back to the ninjas. There's a scene prior to this where you see the ninjas training, and they're running like this obstacle course on the property. And I'm wondering, was this like the inspiration for American Ninja Warrior? Because it's American Ninja, and no, I'm serious. Like, they're ninjas doing an obstacle course. And like as a huge American Ninja fan, I am always like Googling American Ninja, or I'm looking on eBay, and all this American Ninja Warrior crap comes up. And I just want American Ninja. I want Michael Dudikoff American Ninja. So I always have to add Dudikoff to the search. But I mean, it makes perfect sense to me that the American Ninja Warrior is inspired from that scene. Yeah. Also
I can pick up what you're putting down.
Also, the ninjas are color coded. There's like,
which I love.
Yeah.
I love that.
There's blue ninjas, red ninjas, yellow ninjas. I think I even saw orange ones and black, and it's pretty cool. In the second film,
some goat ninjas too.
In the second movie, which is my favorite in the series, Joe wears a yellow outfit at the end. I think that's just badass. But anyway, his mentor gives him like his final training, and they go into battle together as Ortega is about to sell all the military supplies to I guess this other supervillain. Did I mention that no, I think I forgot to I left this part out. When they were leaving the colonel's house, the colonel decided to cut off the deal with Ortega because he was having second thoughts of everything that's going down. So they had the Black Star Ninja kidnap the colonel's daughter. So she's at this base too, which Joe didn't realize. So when he shuts down the deal to Ortega's deal to sell the military supplies, Patricia's there. She's being held hostage. He shoots an arrow at Ortega, and the black ninja just snatches it out of the air and then breaks it over his knee. And then Dudikoff breaks an arrow over his his knee. And then he jumps down, and then just all hell breaks loose. It's a ninja action, ninja on ninja. His mentor joins him in the fight. And then the cavalry shows up, led by Curtis Jackson on the back of a Jeep with a big machine gun. He's got a headband tied around his head. He looks awesome. If anyone deserved their own spin-off movie, it was him. He was great.
Oh, I concur.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised that he didn't go that route.
Yeah. Sadly, he passed away, I think, of cancer in the 90s. But, yeah, he was great, really charismatic. I loved him in I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker. And I think he even had a spin-off movie from that as Kung Fu Joe. It was a TV.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a TV movie with him and a couple other people. I think like Fred Williamson and some other guys. But there's the big battle at the end. Ortega tries to escape with Patricia on a helicopter. Joe jumps and grabs onto the helicopter, and he's trying to get Patricia safe. Curtis has a big bazooka. He's just waiting to to blow up the helicopter once Joe gets free, and he tosses Ortega from the helicopter, I believe, right? And then him and Patricia jump off onto a roof, and then Curtis blows up the helicopter. And then we get the credits. The credits roll. It's just a fun movie. It's really typical of the times. The 80s had such great action films. A lot of military-based films. Very patriotic time in the 80s. Reagan president. Just good times, man.
Yeah, I remember the lengths I would go to rent it. Like, I think it was only in one video store in like a CD area by me.
Yeah.
So like, my parents would gracefully take me to rent it. almost every other weekend.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, it's just fond memories. Just one of those movies where like I could put on and it's just like going back home.
Yeah. And one thing I didn't realize back then, it actually had like there was an American Ninja toy, an action figure. And it is really rare now and expensive. It looks nothing like Michael Dudikoff, likeness-wise, but I'd really like to get my hands on one if I could. A couple times I've bid, and I ended up being outbid at the end because it gets really pricey. Recently, though, this Russian company, I think they're called Just Toys, they released this amazing American Ninja action figure. It's almost like the equivalent to a Hot Toys.
Yeah.
It's highly detailed. I would say it's probably like in the 12-inch range or 14-inch range, something like that. Comes in the black ninja outfit, swords, lots of articulation. And it comes with a hefty price tag too, because I inquired about buying one. It's $350. I'm not saying no.
That's what they cost. I think that's the range.
Yeah.
For a Hot Toys type of thing.
So I didn't say no. I'm just saying no for now. But I'll keep you guys updated if I decide to pull the trigger on that figure. I'd really like to own it.
You know what? You've been working your ass off.
Yeah.
I think you deserve it.
Yeah, well, I keep telling myself that too. So maybe I'll wait till the next graveyard shift campaign. But there's one interesting fact. There's been a couple documentaries about Cannon films, and they talk about Dudikoff, but they also talk about like some of the comic book movies that they have done or they were supposed to do. At one time, Cannon Films was going to do Spider-Man. And
oh, really?
Yeah, I guess it was around the time when James Cameron was supposed to do it. They even released a one-sheet poster, and it was just comic book art of Spider-Man, and it said something like "coming soon." But there was talks that Dudikoff was going to be Peter Parker.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that was dope.
Yeah, I could
see him as a Peter Parker, like a Romita, John Romita,
yeah.
Sr. Peter Parker.
Yeah, definitely. I could definitely see it. He's got the build. He's got the hair. He's got great hair.
Great hair.
Yeah.
It's coming from a guy that's bald now. I'm talking about myself.
But he was also rumored to be Superman because Cannon got the rights to Superman, I guess, with Superman 3, the Richard Pryor Superman. And there was talks that I guess Christopher Reeves wasn't coming back. So there was talk that Dudikoff, because he was like the go-to guy at Cannon Films, he was going to take up the role of Superman. That's a little harder for me to picture because I can't really picture him as a brunette. But yeah, that would have been interesting.
Huh. It's kind of a mindfuck when you think about it.
Yeah.
Like, because immediately Christopher Reeves.
Oh yeah, he's so
but
it's
as much as I like I love the dude. Like putting him into that.
Yeah.
He's just Peter Parker to me.
Yeah. No, I definitely feel like he could pull off Peter Parker, especially like late 80s Peter Parker when he first gets like the black costume, a little more brooding. Like he is like Cannon knew what they were doing when they cast him as like the James Dean action hero, because he plays that so well. Reluctant hero, kind of quiet, keeps to himself, steps in when help is needed. But I really love this movie. It's been a big influence in my life, big influence in my creating comic books. What are your final thoughts on the film?
Well, first of all, I think he looks like you, and like he reminds me of you, like all quiet, like only speaks like when it's got to be.
Oh, please tell me more.
Yeah, well, yeah. So again, great movie, great franchise. fond memories of when I was a child. I just watched it like maybe an hour ago on Vudu, and again, it brought me back. I stepped in the DeLorean. I put in some menudo. I took a stroll back to 1985.
Yeah, I could go on about this film. I can't say enough good things about it. If you're looking to watch it, it's all 4 films in the series have been released on Blu-ray. Technically, there's a 5th movie, but I think it's only like they added the American Ninja name to it just to sell some videos. But there's also a UK box set, and that's what I have. It comes with all 4 films. There's a bunch of documentaries on it. It's really cool. I would check it out if you're a fan of Dudikoff, or if you're a fan of American Ninja. Do yourself a favor and get it. Now, that's all for American Ninja. But every week we're going to pick a new film of Michael's to talk about, and he even had his own TV series in the 90s, Cobra. So if we've run out of movies, we can start talking about Cobra.
We're definitely going to get Cobra. We can do episode by episode.
Yeah. So, yeah, thanks for joining me on this, Sean. I think we've been doing this for a little over a half hour, but I think we've covered everything. Let's decide what movie we're going to do next week, so that people at home, if they wanna do a little homework, they can watch the movie before listening to us next week. What do you think? What are you in the mood for? Are you in the mood for more action comedy? What do you think?
Give me action.
Okay. Let's do Platoon Leader.
Platoon Leader.
Yeah, it was the 80s, lots of Vietnam movies being made. This is Cannon Films, Michael Dudikoff's venture into the Vietnam movies. And I believe it's on YouTube, the whole movie, so you should be able to watch it.
Oh, okay.
All right?
All right.
So join us next week. You can catch Sean on Twitter and Instagram at
Sean Ahrendt, and on YouTube, Sean Ahrendt. Like, share, subscribe, hit notifications.
Yeah. And I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Coney Waves. You're already listening to Primetime Poulton YouTube channel. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening, guys.
See ya.